Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. I know you can see the name of the ship on the screen, and you're not reading it wrong. This is, of course, the Tier 6 Premium British battleship HMS Nelson, my favorite battleship in the game, my most played ship according to my statistics, and probably the ship I've featured most on this channel. So I do have a bit of a personal agreement with myself that I'm not going to feature the Nelson in a video unless there's a significant reason to do so. And I think, luckily, that this game in and of itself is a very significant reason to do so, to feature the Nelson again, because it's a banger of a game. I end up getting 6 kills and over 3,500 base XP, so it is very, very good. But there's another reason as well, and that is I have made a modification to my commander build, which I'll talk a little bit later about, and I will show you a photo of the commander build as an overlay on screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, because I'm sure some people will want to know. But until then, I just kind of want to walk you through my thought process here. We spawned in the center of the map, and we're kind of thinking about what do we want to do. Well, we're not going to push into the center of the map right now, not in the Nelson anyway. We are top tier though, so that gives us a significant advantage. The Nelson is absolutely fantastic when it's top tier in a game, especially versus tier 5 ships, let alone tier 4 ships like the unfortunate Koenig out there who managed to fail his way into a tier 6 game by means of division. But there are North Carolinas on the team. There's 2 of them, and we don't want to put ourselves in a position right now where we can be crossfired. So we're kind of hanging out in the center, looking at what's going on. We see the Koenig and the Pensacola moving out. The Koenig damage conned the first fire we lit on him with our very first salvo and extinguished it. So we followed up with a second salvo, lit a second fire, and he's going to have to deal with that one for the full duration. Little bit of a tip to newer battleship players who may be watching this video. Try not to division with ships of a tier higher than you if you are going to division, because that is probably going to land you more often than not in a higher tier game, and your ship is just not going to stand up well to the higher tier ships. And then secondly, if you get lit on fire once, especially if it's the first salvo you take in a game, don't damage con, because you're probably going to get hit with HE again, and then you're going to have to deal with the fire. In any case, we've elected to shoot at the Fiji. Why? Well, he is near that Charlie cap, and we can see the friendly destroyer is also near that Charlie cap as well, and we'll want that friendly destroyer to try to take the cap, but that's going to be very hard if he's got a Fiji right there. We also noticed that we took some shots from the Prince Idol Friedrich, and we didn't actually notice that Friedrich was there initially. Map awareness is a very important skill in this game. It's something that everybody can and should work on, including me, because I'm telling you right there, I had no idea that Friedrich was behind me, and I could have known he was there. He was visible on the map the whole time, but it just didn't register in my mind. So here's a little tip for you about map awareness. But hold on a second, that Fiji is spotted again, so we're going to try to help out our teammates. He goes dark, but we know where he's at, so we take the shot essentially blind with HE, which is very, very strong and very potent. We land 5 shells, and we get our first kill of the game. There goes the Fiji. Anyway, that tip for you on map awareness, I'll give you a quote, or not a quote, but a paraphrase that I heard a long time ago by watching an older Flamu video. He said he often gets asked about how do I practice map awareness, and his answer is, play a battleship. Why? Well, you shoot your guns, you have about 30 seconds until they reload and you can shoot them again. That's time that you can spend looking at the map and training yourself to get into the habit of looking at the map. But if you are one of those battleship mains and you feel that you need to work on your map awareness, I also suggest playing other classes of ship from time to time so that you can get a better idea of what cruisers and destroyers have to do when they're in a game and not only playing one class of ship. So I sort of amend Flamu's advice there by saying, play battleships, look at the map between salvos, but also play all other classes of ships so that you can get a feel for each one, because it's very valuable. In any case, now we're moving in here. Notice that none of our teammates have taken a cap. The enemy has taken Alpha, and we actually don't have any friendly ships that are anywhere near close to getting on a cap. And while we have, actually the enemy is ahead of us on points now. I was going to say while we have a kill lead and a points lead, but we don't. In any case, we do need to get into a cap. This is a domination mode game, and the caps are the most important thing. If your team is not going to get into a cap, you can as a battleship. It's just not ideal. And there we take down the Warspite by getting a cheeky little fire on him at the last moment for our second kill of the game. We're evaluating the map right now, though, as we move into the Charlie cap. We know that we need to take a cap, or at least that's best practice if we want to win the game. So we need to evaluate the map and the threats near us. There's a Koenig in front of us. He probably really shouldn't be in this game, and he doesn't appear too concerned with us. But there's also a Pensacola and a North Carolina in the center of the map. Luckily, this island to our left here is blocking their ability to shoot at us. So we should be able to get into this cap, use the island to protect us from the ships in the center of the map, and just bully this Koenig with our high explosive or armor piercing, as the case may be, while we take this cap, I think solo, because again, none of our teammates are even close to this cap. The destroyer over out to the other side of the map is grouped up with the battleship and cruiser over there, and while we initially tried to remove the Fiji from play so that maybe the destroyer would get on the cap, he didn't elect to do that, so we're kind of doing his job for him as we get a broadside shot on this Koenig with the AP. The shot is out, and it's going to take exactly as long to reach the Koenig as it takes for the cap timer to run out. We secure the kill on the Koenig, and we secure the cap simultaneously. Nice little bit of timing there, I think. And now we are going to move more into the center of the map, and we've actually got a really great position. There are two battleships south of us who have been kiting across the map for the entire game. They're being pursued by two North Carolinas, and they've got the attention of this Pensacola, who is broadside to us. Now, we don't have the AP loaded, but again, Nelson's HE is crazy, and we're able to take out the Pensacola for our fourth kill of the game. Now, though, we are a little bit concerned. The two North Carolinas are by far, aside from the destroyer and CV, the biggest threats to us. They have 16-inch guns, and the Nelson doesn't have great armor, although it does have 32mm side plating that can be angled against 16-inch guns. It's kind of tricky versus American battleships because of their improved penetration angles and whatnot to angle against them, so we don't want to have to be in that situation. Luckily, as soon as that North Carolina notices us, he gets taken out. And at this point, we're pretty secure in terms of our ability to win the game, but it's not over yet. You might look at this and say we outnumber the enemy team by a lot, but keep in mind they do control 2 caps to our 1, so they can outpace us in points, especially if they're able to sink any of our teammates. And the enemy destroyer is still in play. We have no idea where he is. I don't think he's been spotted at all this entire game. I suspect he took Alpha in the beginning and has since remained unseen. Perhaps he was trying to pursue the two North Carolinas that this enemy North Carolina is currently shooting at, or the two battleships. I don't know if they're North Carolinas. In any case, we're aware that he's still floating out there somewhere and lurking around, so we don't want to sit stationary. We don't want to sail in a straight line. That's why we're zigzagging here as we shoot at this North Carolina, just in order to avoid any potential torpedoes, since we have no idea where the destroyer is, and we don't necessarily want to get on the Bravo cap just yet, not until this North Carolina is dealt with and we know that there is not a threat against which we have to actually angle. We've got a permafire going on that North Carolina. He's not concerned with us at all. He's completely tunnel visioned on the two kiting battleships in front of him. Again, map awareness. We switch to the AP. We hit him really hard. We get the high caliber medal, and we take him out for our fourth kill of the game. Or no, we don't take him out, rather. That would have been our Kraken. We just contribute heavily to taking him out. And there you go. There are the torpedoes of the destroyer. He was lurking around there. Definitely something to pay attention to, even if you don't know the location of the destroyer on the map. We knew that he might be in the area, again, because the alpha cap turned red in the beginning. The guy was never spotted, and we were able to deduce that he probably took it and was probably following those two kiting battleships. And we're able to avoid his torpedoes while simultaneously driving into Bravo to assist our friendly destroyer in taking it. Meanwhile, it looks like we've caught the attention of the enemy aircraft carrier, and I'll admit I was probably a little bit lucky that I didn't catch his attention earlier, because the Nelson really does not have any AA to speak of, although this is a Tier 5 Ranger, so it's not like his torpedoes hit super hard, but his high explosive bombs I think are pretty good. In any case, I did talk about making a change to my commander build, and that's something I want to go over here. I'll put it up on the screen for you. I'm still running Azurlane Nelson, but I changed the Big 7 skill. Why did I do that? Well, I was running that skill for a long time, and as you can see here, it increases both the high explosive and armor-piercing alpha strike by a significant percentage. But the trade-off is it decreases the penetration of both shells by another significant percentage in return. And I always thought, it was more valuable to have that high explosive alpha strike because the high explosive has really good penetration anyway. It's British and it gets the quarter caliber penetration, which means it can penetrate just over 100 millimeters of armor at base, as long as I'm correct in my calculations there. So I figured cutting down the HE pen wouldn't be that big of a deal because it'd still pen mostly everything, and it would get big HE salvos when it did pen. I knew it would reduce the efficacy of the AP, but I thought that was a trade that maybe I was willing to make. Instead, though, I decided to try something new. I removed Big 7. Didn't want to put gyrating drill bits on, though, because it reduces the speed of the ship, even though it drastically increases the turret traverse speed and the armor-piercing alpha strike. The Nelson is very slow. It's only got a top speed of like 24 knots, and with gyrating drill bits on there, it's like 19 knots. It's hard to even hit 20. I don't even know if it's possible to hit 20, honestly, so I have the secondary consumable Porcupine instead, just because I have no other alternative. I didn't want to use Big 7. I wanted to try the Nelson without it for once, for the first time in quite a while, and I didn't want to cut down on the Nelson's speed, so with no better options, I used Porcupine. It doesn't really give me good value, but it doesn't hurt either. In any case, now what are we doing, though? Well, we just hit that aircraft carrier a little bit ago with an HE volley, and it started a fire, which was promptly damage-conned, because the CVs have, in my opinion, a rather poorly designed damage-con mechanic. The damage con automatically trips as soon as they're lit on fire or get flooded. The player in the CV has absolutely no control over this, and at the same time, the damage con lasts for like 60 seconds, so you can't light additional fires. But when that damage con runs out, well, then you can Citadel aircraft carriers, probably thanks to not having Big 7 on there, and light triple perma fires that they can't put out. By the way, without Big 7, as I said, I think the Nelson HE can penetrate just over 100 millimeters of armor, and with Big 7, that goes down to around 84 or 85 millimeters of armor. I can't remember the exact number, but that difference in millimeters can be the difference between citadeling some ships with the HE and not. And with that Citadel and triple permafire hit on the CV, we're able to get the Kraken unleashed and go up to 169,000 damage done. That just leaves the enemy Moss and less than 30 seconds to go in the game. So there's his torpedoes. We're not able to avoid these. That's fine. They're not going to sink us. And really, the Moss has nothing to lose, so why not shoot at us? And he does, which gets him spotted, and I have just enough time to line up a closing shot and take out the Moss to just sort of put a cherry on top of this game and finish with 6 kills and 170 something thousand damage done, 179, plus 3,500 base XP and over 1 million credits earned. I think a pretty excellent game in a very excellent battleship. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.